sustainable? Is it sustainable? Yeah. So today we continue reading the book. Today is day 3. I'm loving this journey. I'm loving the engagement. I'm really pumped for this book. I realized the text itself is just like 60 pages. It has this book has 3 sections. Let me go back to the contents. It has 3 parts. The first part is plant-based world of forks and knives. So good for your health. You look at the faces of forks over knives. So there are different people who are involved in this movement of forks over knives. Yeah. So one of them is called Pam Popper. We read about her on day 1. Then there is Terry Mason, a medical doctor. Then there are the results, the amazing results of being on a plant-based diet shared by Anthony and Evelyn. Then you look at the faces of the forks over knives. There's another one called Caldwell B. Elstein Jr., also a medical doctor. There is T. Colin Campbell, who is a PhD holder. Then again, there are results by Sandera. And then another person who is involved called Alona Flood, also a medical doctor, and Matthew Liederman, also a medical doctor. And then it's like being on a plant-based diet is also good for animals. It's good for animals because now the animals are not suffering. We are not killing animals unnecessarily to feed the population. I don't know whether you subscribe to the fact that killing animals for food is cruel, or whether you are the kind who will say that God gave us everything that moves for food. And I agree, like we were given everything on earth to be under our submission and for food. And initially there were some things that were restricted, like pork and stuff. Then in the New Testament of the Bible, there was more liberty, there was more freedom when it comes to what you're eating. But at the same time, with the freedom, Paul says just because things have been permitted doesn't mean that you should do them. Just because something has been permitted, it does not mean that you should just go ahead and do it because it's been permitted. So today I have about 30 minutes or less to read. So again, being on a plant-based diet is good for animals and it's good for the environment. So I won't be going very in-depth in my reading. It will be more of just a reading without very many explanations because I don't have much time. We are going to look at the diet-related diseases. Most people tend to think that diseases such as cancer and coronary artery disease are the result of bad luck or bad genes. These conditions are considered incurable by many healthcare professionals since the drugs and the surgeries commonly prescribed for them only treat symptoms. The truth is, smart choices at the grocery store and in the kitchen can prevent heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and many other conditions, and in many instances can stop or reverse them. This section is only a summary of the relationship between serious illnesses and diet. For more information on the subject, there's where somewhere he has shared more information. So about heart disease. The term heart disease is misleading, implying that your heart muscle is prone to catching ailments like the flu or common cold, as if heart disease is something that just happens to you. It's not just something that happens to you. Many people blame high blood pressure or elevated cholesterol on lifestyle factors such as family history. My grandparents had high blood pressure, they will say, so there's nothing I can do about it except take the medication. But although genetics may play a role in your disease, your grandparents may well have had high blood pressure because they ate poorly. Here is a frightening fact. The National Heart, Lung, and Blood Blood Institute recently released a report based on the 10-year findings of their cardiovascular health study, concluding that nearly all males over the age of 65 and females over 70 who have grown up eating a traditional meat-based Western diet are already suffering from some form of heart disease. They are already suffering. It's not like they are predisposed or they are likely. No, they are already suffering. That is all of them who participated in that study. All of them were already suffering from heart disease, one form or the other. In most cases, the root of coronary artery disease is plaque, a greasy fatty deposit that builds up in arteries throughout our bodies. Healthy arteries are strong and elastic and lined with a smooth Teflon-like substance called endothelial tissue. Over time, as people ingest dietary fat and cholesterol, the endothelial cells become sticky and plaque begins accumulating. Plaque can also narrow the arterial passageways through which blood delivers vital oxygen and nutrients to our body, which results in hypertension, and by closing off arteries can cause cardiac arrest. Hello, Salome. Welcome. We are reading together. This book is called Knives Over Forks, where we are advocating for a plant-based diet. So karibu sana. Listen in, give us a like and comment, or get involved here in the live chat. I'm very well. I don't know whether you know me. My name is Jessica Wanjiko. I'm a nutritionist. I work with Malkia Nutrition. I work with Malkia Nutrition. I've been consulting for the last 6 years. Yeah, and I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 2 children. I believe that with nutrition we can revert most of the lifestyle diseases that we are suffering from. So welcome sana, Salome. I don't know if you have a channel. If you do, let me make you a moderator so that you can see other people and what they are doing. A Journey of Faith, karibu sana. Umetoka kinyozi wapi? Karibu. So, thank you for the likes. Thank you. So, I have like 20 minutes to read. So, let's get back to it. So, I just said that in a study that was done in the US, they found that men who are above 65 years of age and women who are above 70 years of age were already having a form of cardio artery disease because they had plaque. Okay, so over time, people ingest dietary fat and cholesterol. The epithelial cells become sticky and plaque begins accumulating. Plaque can also narrow arterial pathways through which our blood delivers vital oxygen and nutrients to our body, which results in hypertension, and by closing off arteries can cause cardiac arrest. Yeah, Salome, you're from Kenya. I don't know. Have you seen many people who are suffering from hypertension, like high blood pressure? And then maybe once in a while, Kenya, we are not very affected by cardiac arrest. It's not easy to hear someone got a cardiac arrest, like mtu alipata heart attack. Si rahisi, ama we don't hear it. Maybe it happens, but we don't hear it. But in the States, it's very common. We have even seen the adverts of a man crunching on his heart, and then they collapse, and then they convulse, and that becomes that. So plaque is like, you see, like the plaque that forms on teeth. Imagine that kind of thing happening inside your arteries. Inside your arteries, they become clogged, and now the blood is having, if this was the normal diameter of the blood vessel, now it becomes like this. Can you even see my eye? You cannot. So blood is being forced to go, the same volume of blood is being forced to go through the reduced diameter of our artery. So you've seen people collapsing from heart conditions. So plaque, that thing that becomes sticky and it starts coating your blood vessels, it can also rupture itself. It can rupture because sasa imekuwa mingi, it become a lot, spilling the toxic contents into the blood system, which activates platelets that try to control the damage by clotting. And then when the blood clots, that clotting now results in a blockage in the vessels that deprive the heart muscle of oxygen, causing a heart attack or even sudden death. Yes, I will explain in Kiswahili. So nasema hivi, ugonjwa wa mpigo wa moyo ama ugonjwa wa pressure unatokana na mishipa yako, tuseme okay, mishipa hizi kwa tuseme mishipa yako unatoshana hivi, alafu umepata coating ndani, una shrink, unatoshana hivi. Sasa damu inahitaji kupita kwa hii mshipa, na ni ile damu ile kiwango cha damu hakijabadilika, damu inabaki ikiwa ile kiwango ya damu inahitajika kupigwa kwa mwili haijabadilika, ni ile tu. Lakini sasa mishipa zimekuwa ndogo hivi na damu itabidi sasa inapita na pressure ya juu. So tukikupima hapa kwa mkono, tukisikiza venye damu inapiga, inakuwa damu inapiga kwa haraka sana kwa pressure ya juu. So hiyo ndio tunaita high blood pressure. Kindly kindly give us a like if you are here. So ukipimwa, unajua ile kitu ya kupima pressure, si tunaiweka hapa mostly on the left, which is the side yenye moyo uko, tunapima kwa huu mkono wa left. So tukiweka hiyo kidunde hapa, alafu tunapima pressure yako, pressure tunapimanga, naona venye moyo huu dunda, inaenda inafunguka, alafu inashika, inafunguka, inashika. So kuna venye inatuma damu na damu inarudi, inatuma damu inarudi. So hicho kipimo ukipata kwamba kiko juu kuliko like mpigo wa kwenda kupiga damu inakuwa haifai kupita 140. Mpigo wa kurudisha damu haifai kupita 90. So ikiwa vipimo zako zimepita juu ya hivyo, unakuwa na ugonjwa wa high blood pressure. Na huo ugonjwa ni kitu kenye kinaweza cause moyo wako usipate damu ya kutosha. Alafu ukikosa damu ya kutosha, ile cause moyo wako unakuanga independent from the brain. Ukikosa damu ya kutosha, inafungana, like the heart just stops beating. So unapata mtu umepata uchungu kwa kifua kwa sababu moyo unajaribu kupata damu lakini haupati. Ni sawa, unajaribu kupata damu lakini haupati, alafu unapata huyo mtu ameanguka na amekufa. Salome, kwa heri, asante. I hope umeelewa kitu kuhusu high blood pressure na umeelewa kwamba ni kitu ambacho kinaweza kuwa prevented. Asante kwa kujoin, asante kwa kushare, asante kwa kulike. Tafadhali weka comment. Hii ni live chat but kuna ile part ya comment. Kama unaweza acha comment nitafurahi sana na nashukuru kwa kuwa hapa. Ukiweke notification on ili nikiweka video, kuna video nina edit. Hii ni live but naikanga pia video. Nikiweka video uweze kuipata. Aya, kwa heri. So that was good having to explain in Swahili. It is like stretching myself, yeah. I can speak Swahili, I can speak English and my mother tongue as well. I'm trying to learn French. So let's get back to it. Now, you've had plaque in your blood vessels, yeah? Umepata plaque. Then it causes it ruptures. When it ruptures, it releases toxins into the blood. When you release toxins into the blood platelets which fight toxins, they are like, what is happening? There is something that has happened. Let's start clotting so that we stop these toxins from going throughout the whole body. When a clot is formed, what happens is that when you have a clot in any part of your blood vessel, it can cause the blood not to flow. So that will result into a cardiac arrest or heart attack. or even sudden death. Although some modern medicines such as nitroglycerin help the heart to receive more blood by chemically dilating the vessels, these address only a symptom of the real problem. Wider arteries simply mean more room for plaque to accumulate. So even if your vessels have dilated by using medicine called nitroglycerin, even after they have expanded, you're just giving more room for plaque to form. So if you haven't changed the root cause that is causing that plaque to form, you will find that eventually you will still suffer the same problem. That's why you find people who are on hypertension medication, but they are not changing their diet, will remain on that medication for very, very, very long. For very, very, very long. And it can be for the rest of their lives. And we don't want that. Now, imagine commuting to work every day. You're going to work every day leaking with a leaking tire. Like your tire is leaking. In a leak too every time. You can pump air into the tire every morning, but wouldn't it make sense to stop the leak? This is what happens with hypertensive patients. You have a leak, your blood is not flowing the right way, you have high cholesterol, then you're given medicine, but this medicine is not addressing that hole in your tire, that hole. Like if we take the analogy of a tire, it's not addressing it, it's just fixing, it's just helping your tire to have air to take you wherever you are going, but not fixing the leak. So what we should do is fix the leak. And how do you fix the root cause of hypertension? Is by fixing your diet. Simple and clear. You fix your diet, you are able to resolve hypertension. So it doesn't matter how much air you pump into the tire every morning, it wouldn't make sense because you are not stopping the leak. It's just going to become worse and worse until the day your tire blows out on the highway. Yeah, that happens. The same goes for our bodies. How do we fix our own leaky tire? That is the buildup of dangerous plaque in our blood. The answer is simple. Avoid animal-based foods. Welcome. Kindly like the live. Kindly give us a like and come to the chat so that I can know who you are as we continue reading this book. So we are reading this book. This is the book we are reading. We are trying to do at least 5 pages today. We are on page 2. Okay, so the same goes for our bodies. How do we fix our own leaky tire? That is the buildup of dangerous plaque in our blood. The answer is very simple. You just avoid animal-based foods. So animal-based foods are full of fat and cholesterol and leave us marinating in the very worst building blocks for heart disease. Like fatty food is what causes heart disease. That's why I'm reading this book, to see that I will convince myself at the end of the book to just avoid meat as much as possible and opt for a vegetarian lifestyle or a vegan lifestyle. Animal-based foods are full of fat and cholesterol and leave us marinating in the very worst building blocks of heart disease. These foods can contribute to buildup of plaque along the 60,000 miles of veins, arteries, and capillaries through which your blood must travel freely to keep you alive. Plant-based foods, on the other hand, don't promote the accumulation of plaque and contain nutrients that actually improve the health of your arteries and reverse the progression of heart disease. Did you hear that? Plant-based food reverse the progression of heart disease by removing that plaque if it has formed. Okay, so why? First and foremost, a healthful plant-based diet minimizes the fat and cholesterol, the key components of artery clogging plaque. With these dangerous plaque building blocks no longer inundating arteries after every meal, the body's natural healing processes are able to stabilize the plaque that has already built up, reducing cholesterol and allowing blood passageways to relax naturally. So once you change your diet, you don't even need what is it called? You don't need what was the name of that drug again? The one that you don't need the drug to expand your vessels. They will just do so naturally. So further evidence comes from Colin Campbell's China study, a investigation of the health and nutrition habits of 65,000 Chinese in the 65 rural villages. After compiling their data, the researchers concluded that American men were 17 times more likely to die from heart disease than rural Chinese men. In certain pockets of China, where plant-based diets were common, researchers could not find a single person out of more than 100,000 people who had died from heart disease. That there wasn't a single person in rural China who had any history or record of someone dying out of heart disease. Can you imagine that? But you come to Kenya, how many people are dying out of heart attacks and hypertension and hypertensive crisis? So many people. So further evidence that when you have read that we have while the average American's total cholesterol level is well over 200, the levels of participants in China study averaged at 81 to 135. That is very low. Dr. Campbell ultimately concluded that people who maintain a whole foods plant-based diet can minimize or even reverse the development of chronic diseases. That's what Dr. Campbell found out. Still more evidence from Dr. Caldwell Esteen, 20-year study at the Cleveland Clinic, which he wrote about in his book Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, showed that a plant-based diet, oil-free diet, will not just prevent heart disease but can reverse it. The doctor says plaque does not develop until the endothelium or the lining of the arteries is injured. So it has to be injured. And it is injured every time you eat meat, dairy, fish, and chicken, even the white meat. This cannot be emphasized enough. So that was heart disease. Now we look at stroke. We have all heard about stroke. Plaque can build up over time in the blood passageways, leading to the brain as well as to the heart. So now, stroke is when your brain is affected. Heart attack is for your heart. So stroke is when the brain is affected. Even a momentary clot can deprive the brain of vital oxygen, which can result in permanent impairment. Every year, 700,000 Americans suffer from stroke, and more than 1/4 of these victims, they die. Like most 700,000 people suffer from stroke, then 1/4 of that number, they die from the condition. So a whole foods plant-based diet has been proved to be sustainable. Remember, that's the question we asked, if it's sustainable. It reduces the risk of stroke. In fact, according to the remarkable 50-year Framingham Heart Study conducted by National Health, Lung and Blood Institute, for every 3 additional servings of fruit and vegetables you eat per day, your risk of stroke is reduced by 22%. So what are the leading causes of death? Let's look at the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States in the year 2007. The number 1 was heart disease, taking a total of 616,067 people. Then there was cancer following closely at 865 people. That's over 500,000. Then we had stroke coming on that 135,000 people. We had chronic lower respiratory diseases, 127,000 people. We had accidents. These are just unintentional injuries, like you died out of a road accident. If you are here, kindly like the live, kindly like. We appreciate it. Like, and we'll be very happy. Thank you. Welcome. We are reading this book, just trying to convince ourselves if we can go on a plant-based diet. Plant-based diet way to health. Okay, so Alzheimer's kills 74 people, diabetes 71,000, influenza and pneumonia 52,000, nephrotic syndrome or nephrosis. These are diseases of the kidney, 46,000. Then there was septicemia, that's a blood infection, 34,000. So, but you see, the leading cause of death is heart disease and heart conditions, which come around because of fat and cholesterol accumulating in your blood vessels. So if you come to me and I tell you have high cholesterol and I say, please do not eat meat, please listen, okay? Then there's much evidence showing that heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke, Alzheimer's disease are nutritionally related. So it could be said that the leading cause of death in the United States and in Kenya is what? Poor nutrition. It is poor nutrition. Now, let's read from Terry Mason, who is an MD, a medical doctor. He's the chief medical officer of Cook County Health and Hospital System in Illinois. He works with 3 hospitals, 16 ambulatory clinics, and some of which treat outpatients for HIV, sexually transmitted diseases, a public health department, the local juvenile detention center. This is in the States. And then the Cook County Jail. Terry grew up and was educated in and around Chicago. He then attended college at Loyola University and medical school in the University of Illinois, and performed his residency in urology in Michael Reese Hospital. He's a board-certified urologist. That's they deal with the urinary system. Terry practiced medicine for 25 years before being named Commissioner of Chicago Department of Public Health in 2005. During his tenure, he focused on fighting chronic disease by promoting healthier lifestyles. He's a black man. Terry is also an inspirational speaker on the topic of building healthy communities. He hosts a radio show talk show, Doctor in the House, and he is a frequent guest on the national television and radio programs. He's just like me. He goes on radios and TVs. Terry took an unusual route to arrive at his current 98% plant-based philosophy. Now and then he may eat an egg, white or 2. As a urologist, this guy, he found himself dealing with patients who had many challenging medical issues, particularly his specialty, erectile dysfunction. Where is it, kusimamisha? Yeah. Did I say that? Yes. There was a strong link between men who had erection problems and men who had heart disease, something we discussed at a joint meeting of cardiologists and neurologists at the National Medical Association Convention to help us understand the link between the pathology of cardiovascular disease and that of erectile dysfunction. Soon, we found that this strong relationship was due to damage to the endothelial cells. The endothelium is the thin layer of cells that line the interior surface of blood vessels. Now, the penis, the manhood, has more endothelial cells per unit volume than any other organ in the body. So anything that would affect endothelial cell function would also pose a problem to the penis. That's why you find someone with cardiovascular disease or diabetes, they will not be able to have a full erection because their epithelial cells are damaged, which means that they are not able to have the proper supply of blood to their sexual organ. So we also looked at the American diet. We found a strong correlation between damage of these endothelial cells and a meat-based, high-fat, high-calorie, and low to no exercise lifestyle. This lifestyle had a negative effect on both the penis and the heart. This for men, but also for women. We are losing 1 million people a year to heart disease and cancer, and this is because of 3 things: smoking, failure to exercise, and our poor diet. We need to address all 3, and the right way to change the last issue is adopting a plant-based diet. But we are going to have to take some radical steps to do so. When you adopt a public health approach, you have to change society's basic structures in a way that they will make it easier for people to do the right thing and harder for them to do the wrong things. I would put whatever resources required into a government-led campaign to make fruits and vegetables cheaper and more widely available, and to teach people how to prepare them, like I'm doing. Yeah, they can partner with the government to teach people how to go on a plant-based diet. We are in a state of emergency. We cannot continue to do what we were doing and expect different results because of what? That is insanity. We'll end it there. Next, we look at the other person who is involved in this movement. It's called Cardwell B. Elstein Jr., and he's also a medical doctor. We will look at his work and his involvement, and then we will move on and look at the next thing we will look at after listening to that story, or the story by Dr. Cardwell and Dr. Campbell. We'll go on and look at cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and then we will be learning a lot about even erectile dysfunction, and what men can do to help themselves to avoid these conditions at the moment and even in the future. So stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll do day 4. We'll talk about those conditions, erectile dysfunction, how your food can help you resolve erectile dysfunction. We are done. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Bye. See you tomorrow.